decide at any time to exercise these rights and not answer any questions or make any statements.
Do you understand? Say yes or no.
Yes.
You're smart. You figured out exactly why we're here. You know, I heard you say that we came inside here.
The note, the letter, the document itself was sitting right here on this desk when they raided the newsroom and took that computer. They didn't take it. Is that the real purpose of this raid?
All right, what's up, guys? Welcome back. We're going to be sharing some news. It seems to be some of the biggest news on the mainstream media news right now.
Now, what you're looking at is video from inside that newspaper during the raid. The next day, the co-owner of the paper died. Joan Meyer was 98 years old. Her son believes that the raid was a contributing factor in his mother's death.
I do want to point some things out, and we found an article that you don't really find on some of these news stations that they're putting this out. So let me give you a quick rundown of what happened. This chief of police goes from one department to another department, and the newspaper is trying to find out why. I guess they were given some reports that this cop right here may not be qualified for the job. There may have been some sexual misconduct. I know there was some allegations. They hadn't reported anything yet, the newspaper. Marion County Record, I guess that's the name of the newspaper. And this chief of police got wind of it, decides to use the whole department, use tax dollars, and raid the newspaper. Not only do they raid the newspaper, but they also raid the home of the man who owns the newspaper company. And the man's mother was actually home. She was like 90-something years old. She passes away the very next day. For one, folks, we have been seeing this type of thing for a long time. On channels like mine, we highlight this type of stuff. This is nothing new to us. America seems to be waking up now because of the misconduct, because of what happened. And America is starting to see now that cops are attacking the First Amendment of the Constitution. This video is a perfect example of that. And we have had many stories on our channel that talks about this type of stuff where cops are attacking the First Amendment of the Constitution. So let's watch some news clips. We'll be pausing to point some things out. So let's check this out really quick.
This morning, the weekly edition of the Marion County Record is still being published, even after police in this small Kansas town raided the paper's offices on Friday, seizing cell phones, hard drives, and documents. The search warrant accused reporters of identity theft and computer crimes while reporting on local restaurant owner Carrie Newell for a story that didn't run. Newell told the city council the paper illegally obtained her driving record, which included a DUI. The publisher and co-owner of the paper, Eric Meyer, denies the allegation and tells NBC News he believes the police chief has a personal axe to grind.
Police chief saw an opportunity to let's really stick it to this newspaper, which has not been entirely supportive of him.
According to Meyer, the paper was investigating Police Chief Gideon Cody's time on the force in Kansas City, including that he was set to be demoted for misconduct before joining the department in Marion. Meyer says the sources wouldn't go on the record and the story was never published.
Come on, today. Why are you not talking about what kind of misconduct? I mean, this is, you guys are trying to skew the story here, but we'll look into that here shortly, guys.
The police chief did not respond to NBC News' request for comment, but previously defended the raid, arguing there were legal grounds.
It was her life.
Donna Bernhardt worked at the Record for 30 years alongside Joanne Meyer, the 98-year-old co-owner of the paper who passed away the day after the police raided the offices and her home.
So a lot of people are looking into this story right here. A lot of people are pissed off because of what happened.
So would you be willing to speak with us?
I can't speak to you. The KBI has to be, they're the actual ones to do this.
But KBI says
KSHB 41 senior investigator Jessica McMaster continues to push for answers after police raided the small-town newspaper, the Marion County Record, over what law enforcement called identity theft in a search warrant.
Well, yesterday we introduced you to the paper's co-owner and publisher who tells us he believes police crossed the line.
Bullies will be bullies. And this was an attempt to harass and bully us.
Tuesday morning, after not returning our calls and emails to request an interview, our I-team showed up at Marion Police Department to ask Chief Gideon Cody a few questions. As we tried to get answers from the man behind the badge who's behind the raid, the newspaper's attorney, Bernie Rhodes, came to help the paper get published and stopped to pay his respects to co-publisher Joanne Meyer, the 98-year-old who died one day after her home was also raided.
This may be the grossest violation of the right of free speech that I've ever seen. It is the ultimate act of a local tyrant preventing the local newspaper from exposing the truth.
We spoke with the owner of the Record, Eric Meyer, on Monday. He tells us it all started with a tip about a restaurant owner's driving record. A tip one of his reporters used a state website to look into by verifying the owner's identity. But instead of publishing, they called Marion police.
What'd they say?
Nothing. They said a week later they showed up at our door and seized our computers.
Identity theft, the alleged crime in this case. Rhodes says no one committed a crime, but there's more here to know about Chief Cody. It's important to note the newspaper staff was looking into tips about Chief Cody's time as a captain in Kansas City, but never published a story.
I think any reasonable viewer would wonder why he was so personally interested that he had to make a 98-year-old woman sit there for hours while he searched her son's business so he could personally search her home.
Less than a mile away, back at police headquarters, before saying anything, Chief Cody told our team to contact Kansas Bureau of Investigations.
But KBI says that they weren't the one who issued the warrant, so can you tell me why instead of issuing a subpoena,
you realize how mad
raided
KBI will be angry at me if I start talking about their case at this point?
Their case.
Can he spell hypocrisy? This was his affidavit, his investigation, and his search. He drove to the house to personally search the house of a 98-year-old woman who had nothing possibly to do with this. A woman who died the next day.
The chief's name is on the affidavit seeking the warrant. Over the weekend, Rhodes sent a scathing letter to Chief Cody demanding no one view the seized items. KBI took over the investigation Monday.
Potentially a promising sign that we're going to have someone else involved who will deal with this rationally and not be the big town bully.
Do you know where the equipment is?
We believe we do. One of the items that was taken has a tracking function, and we've been constantly tracking it. We know where it is. It's consistent with what we're told, where we're told the information is, and it leads us strongly to believe that the information has not been accessed to date, which is good news.
And it's not with Marion Police Department?
It is not with the Marion City Police Department. That would not be good news.
Do authorities know that there's a tracking device and that you can see where this is floating around to?
They do now.
Chief Cody initially issued a statement to the police department's Facebook page defending the raid. He closed the door on Tuesday's discussion.
He has a duty to the public, to the people who pay his salary, to explain his actions.
While Kansas Bureau of Investigations isn't saying much, an agency spokesperson tells us they are currently reviewing prior steps taken in this case and working to determine how to best move forward.
So now I want to read you guys the news article about what happened, and this is what many of these news stations are leaving out. And I want to point out how important information like this is extremely important to not leave out, because then mainstream media news likes to skew things and make some of these cops at the end of the day look like they did a good job. And this cop is basically saying that he had legal reasons to be there to do the raid and all that. But let's keep in mind, folks, that what he did, I mean, I know that the lady, she was 98 years old and she was older, and her time was coming soon. But would she had passed away the very next day after the raid if this would not have happened? I believe that this chief of police has blood on his hands, and it's important that we point this out. Why does he have blood on his hands? Well, let's find out. Let's read this article. Small town Kansas newspaper was probing local police chief over sexual misconduct claims before his entire force raided newsroom, terrorizing 98-year-old owner who died the next day. Sexual misconduct, folks. Why did they leave that out? It's beyond me. Come on today. You know what I'm saying? The police chief of a small town in Kansas was being investigated by the local newspaper over allegations of sexual misconduct before he ordered his entire department to raid the newspaper offices has emerged. And this happened on Friday, August 11th, folks. Her son, Eric Meyer, 69, said his mother was devastated at the seizure of computers and servers from the Marion County Records offices. The police department claimed the raid was carried out because they had concerns of identity theft after the newspaper obtained evidence of possible liquor license violations. But the newspaper operation was sure the raid was due to their investigation of Gideon Cody, 54 years old. He became chief of Marion County Police Department in late April after leaving the Kansas City Police amid allegations of sexual misconduct. Here's the nice lady that passed away. This lady probably lived her whole life supporting police back in the blue, and this is what the cops do to the people that they're supposed to protect and serve. Think about that, folks. Joan Mayer, 98, was distraught at the police raid on her newspaper, calling it a Hitler tactic. She died the very next day. The Marion County Record serves a community of 11,000 people in rural Kansas. Cody took the job after retiring as a captain in Kansas City, Missouri, where he worked for 24 years. Damn, so this psychopath was working for 24 years in Kansas City, Missouri? The Marion County Record received an outpouring of calls, Eric Meyer said, claiming Cody had retired from his last police post to avoid demotion over sexual misconduct allegations. Mayer said the newspaper was contacted by Cody's former colleagues about the claims of sexual misconduct, but that the 6+ anonymous sources ultimately were never on the record and reporters could not obtain Cody's personal file. That is a huge, huge problem that we see with police departments. As a matter of fact, I have requested records here in the town of Bakersfield, California, where I live. I requested body cam footage. I requested some records from police, and they just haven't given me anything at all, folks. Why are police officers doing this? Well, they want to keep that image that they're perfect, that they can do no wrong. But the fact of the matter is, cops are human, and they make mistakes, and they do bad shit, just like regular people do. And they're lowering the standards of hiring police officers. Every year they're lowering the standards. As a matter of fact, there's a new law coming out that will allow people to become cops even if they're not citizens of this country. Let's keep reading, folks. Kansas City police have refused to reveal whether Cody was accused of sexual misconduct while working at their force. Why would Kansas City police hide this? They should put this shit out there and say, you know what? This guy was trash. He doesn't work here anymore. Meyer said the identity of the sources was on the computer servers, which Cody's team seized. I may be paranoid that this has anything to do with it, but when people come and seize your computer, you tend to be a little paranoid, Meyer told the Handbasket. He told the Kansas City Star they had not yet published the story because they had not completed their investigation. We didn't publish it because we couldn't nail it down to the point that we thought it was ready for publication, said Meyer. Cody didn't know who our resources were. He does now. And Meyer told AP, this is the type of stuff that Vladimir Putin does, that third world dictators do. This is Gestapo tactics from World War II. Look at this cop right here that became the chief of police. He has a shirt that says disrupt. That's exactly what he's doing, folks. He's disrupting the community. He's wreaking havoc on the communities. And if you question him, he's going to disrupt you and your companies and everything. And he'll use tax dollars in the whole department to do it as well. So let me ask you guys this. Why would he be allowed to retire from the Kansas City Police Department if he had allegations of sexual misconduct? This is a massive problem throughout this nation. When cops are accused of doing bad stuff, they're allowed to retire, folks. And I've even heard this before that they allow cops to retire so that their families don't suffer and stuff like that. But in reality, when cops arrest people and they do things to people and they let's say somebody is innocent. We're not talking about bad people they arrest because obviously those people need to be arrested, right? But people that commit crimes and create victims, obviously those people, that's what they build the jails for. But a lot of times we see cops harassing just average people, just average folks, and people that don't belong in jail. And cops do this and ruin lives all the time. And they don't advocate to help the people in any way. You know what I'm saying? So let's keep reading, folks. Brian Carmen, Cody's business partner who worked with them for 20 years, said he was unaware of any allegations against Cody. No, not to my knowledge, Carmen told the New York Post. He said it would be out of character. I've known him for 20 years. I've never heard of anything remotely involving these type of allegations. Marion County Police Department stated on Saturday that they were committed to upholding the law without addressing the substance of the raid. The Marion, Kansas Police Department believes it is the fundamental duty of the police is to ensure the safety, security, and well-being of all the members of the public. The department wrote on Facebook. They were obviously lying. This commitment must remain steadfast and unbiased, unaffected by political or media influences, in order to uphold the principles of justice, equal protection, and the rule of law for everyone in the community. That right there, folks, is propaganda to its core. And I'll explain. Cops don't care who's in political power. They just don't care. They are going to enforce whatever bullshit the politicians put out there. The raid occurred after leaked documents about local restaurateur Carrie Newell that could have got her liquor license revoked were handed to the newspaper. Meyer didn't publish the story about Newell because he questioned the source, and instead he told the cops about the information. Newell then accused the weekly newspaper of illegally getting her personal data, prompting the search. She also allegedly was unhappy with the newspaper that reported on how Newell kicked out reporters from an event at a restaurant, Carrie's restaurant. Meyer told the Kansas City Star, "We sent them a note saying that a source had given us a file that we thought had suspicious origins. We checked it out to verify that it was accurate, but weren't planning to do anything with it." Their response was a typical fashion of a bully. Instead of asking questions or getting material, they came with an atomic fly swatter to seize our equipment and apparently tried to put us out of business. And we do have a copy of the search warrant here, folks. Chief Cody Gideon, Marion Police Department, or any police officer of the state of Kansas. Having evidence under oath before me from which I find there is probable cause to believe that an offense against the laws of the state of Kansas, including but not limited to violations of KSA 216107, identity theft, and KSA 215839, unlawful acts concerning computers, has been committed, and that certain contraband, fruits, instrumentalities, and evidence of such offense to wit. Joan died after the raid, and Eric said it was grief over the situation that caused her passing. Before Joan died, she told the Wichita Eagle about the raids. "These are Hitler tactics, and something has to be done." The next day around 1:30 p.m., Eric Meyer woke his mother to offer her breakfast, but she said she couldn't stomach it. Eric said, right in the middle of the sentence, she died. What bothers him the most is that the 98-year-old woman spent her last day on earth feeling under attack by bullies who invaded her house. I think it's important that a lot of these mainstream media news sources do not leave out important information, like the fact that the cop was being investigated for sexual misconduct. That is important. That right there can make a whole community turn on a cop like that. And what are they trying to do? They're trying to preserve his image for what? You know what I mean? Why? If you have a bad cop in your community, don't you want to get him out? This is a massive problem that we see with mainstream media. They're constantly allowing this type of stuff to happen by sweeping stuff under the rug. And this cop right here, in my opinion, he deserves not just to be fired, but deserves to be locked up, because he's using tax dollars to do this kind of stuff. And it's embarrassing, folks. It's sad to see what's happening to our country. And a lot of people don't see it. And, politics and government and all that. One of the things that they do best is they use mainstream media news to divide the people. And the people are out there confused and angry at each other, when in fact, the problem is right there, standing right in front of us. The problem is our government and how they operate. What they allow. They hired cops to go after bad people, but what happens when bad people are in government? And that's why channels like ours are important. That's why we police the police. We go out there and we conduct First Amendment audits. We do cop watching. We have to hold our government to a higher standard, because nobody else really seems to be doing it. And they propagate. Cops propagate with the back the blue, the flags that they wear and the stickers that they put on the back of the trucks. But let me ask you guys, those of you that back the blue, those of you that put the stickers on the back of your trucks, you support this? This is what you're backing right here? You back this type of behavior? What if that was your grandmother? What if that was your grandmother? Would you still rock that sticker and wear those shirts? I doubt it. The woman said that something should be done about this. If that woman was still alive today, if that was your grandmother, maybe you should ask your grandmothers, what do you think should be done about this? Let her know about San Joaquin Valley Transparency, folks. You guys, thank you all for tuning in. We're going to keep you updated on this. We're going to bring you more stories regarding this as well. We're not going to let this story die out. And we're going to do some more research, and we're going to be digging into this cop right here and see what kind of past he has. And maybe we'll be asking some questions. And if you guys have any information on this guy right here, if you live in Kansas City, Missouri, and you guys have had encounters with this guy, if you know of any other videos that he's on, copy the links and send them to recordpolicenow@gmail.com. We'd love to do a follow-up video on this. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you guys on the next video. Make sure you subscribe and hit the bell. Peace out.
The KBI says that they weren't the one who issued the warrant, so can you tell me why instead of issuing a subpoena,
you realize how mad
raided
KBI will be angry at me if I start talking about their case at this point?
Their case.
Can he spell hypocrisy? This was his affidavit, his investigation, and his search. He drove to the house to personally search the house of a 98-year-old woman who had nothing possibly to do with this. A woman who died the next day.
The chief's name is on the affidavit seeking the warrant. Over the weekend, Rhodes sent a scathing letter to Chief Cody demanding no one view the seized items. KBI took over the investigation Monday.
Potentially a promising sign that we're going to have someone else involved who will deal with this rationally and not be the big town bully.
Do you know where the equipment is?
We believe we do. One of the items that was taken has a tracking function, and we've been constantly tracking it. We know where it is. It's consistent with what we're told, where we're told the information is, and it leads us strongly to believe that the information has not been accessed to date, which is good news.
And it's not with Marion Police Department?
It is not with the Marion City Police Department. That would not be good news.
Do authorities know that there's a tracking device and that you can see where this is floating around to?
They do now.
Chief Cody initially issued a statement to the police department's Facebook page defending the raid. He closed the door on Tuesday's discussion.
He has a duty to the public, to the people who pay his salary, to explain his actions.
How dare they take a 98-year-old woman and have the last day of her life be a holy hell?
He's stunned with what took place Friday. Raids at 3 locations, including the newspaper and the home he shares with his mother. Joan was 98 years old.
She kept talking about, where are all the good people? Where are all the good people who are supposed to come forward and prevent this? She was muttering to herself, actually. Says, this is going to be the death of me.
She said that?
Yeah.
Eric says his mother struggled to sleep and eat following the raid.
I'm not sure I can eat. I don't feel really... And she died in the middle of that sentence.
Marion is divided over what happened. We found this sign in the window. We also met a woman leaving flowers outside the newspaper.
That was very disappointing to me. I'll just end with that. I was very disappointed in what happened.
Numerous First Amendment organizations condemn the raid. The Reporters Committee for Freedom of the Press released a lengthy open letter. It stated, in short, the search warrant directed at the Marion County Record was significantly overbroad, improperly intrusive, and possibly in violation of federal law. Eric Meyer questions almost everything about that raid, and not just the legality. Computers and cell phones were seized, but he says the information concerning the DUI was left behind.
The note, the letter, the document itself was sitting right here on this desk when they raided the newsroom and took that computer. They didn't take it. Is that the real purpose of this raid?
Meyer says he was involved in ongoing reporting about the new police chief. What he investigated was never published. He says he was asking questions about why a Kansas City police captain making $115,000 a year ended up in Marion making $60,000.
The owner of the paper promises he will sue the city for what happened here. Tonight, there is a growing memorial for Joan.
And it's a cryptic little key, so I'm guessing that's the password. You know what I mean?
Yeah, just take that through that. I don't think there's any type of hard drive in there. But...
No, I mean, if we can just snap a picture of it, that would be good enough for me. I was pretty sure passwords are on the list. I wanted to make sure.
Yeah, Eric's was password protected, Jack.
Okay.
I photographed that.
You want to snap a picture of that password right there? I assume that's what that is.
This one's ready to go. I got two people outside sitting on the back porch.
Okay. I mean, I imagine one of them is.
It's back in Tahoe.
Where's the Tahoe at?
Parked in the back.
Don't leave it unsecured.
I locked it. Keys are out and already locked.
You can go through the front door if you want to. If you want to drive through the front door, take the rest of the front door.
You got any better options?
Yeah.
You're talking to the chief, right?
All right.
Yeah.
I'm not going to argue with the chief in front of me.
I don't want them to, because if they know something's bad on here, I would break the window and take it out. That's me.
All right, I'll pull it around front.
I'll talk shit behind the chief's back. I'm not doing it to his face. Come on, now that's ready. Eric's is ready. This one's ready?
Yep.
Like unplugged and ready to go?
No.
Okay. This flash drive, you going with it?
I would just take it.
Okay.
Yeah, probably for this corner. And
Certainly would behoove what's his called? Masters to come through here too.
oh, that's
Code enforcement. What?
that just gets plugged into the battery backup. So there's no other peripherals besides this installed.
Okay. And do you want us to just leave that plugged in there?
No, I would unplug it so you don't drop it.
Okay.
But let me shut the computer down.
Okay.
I don't believe that this is encrypted, so I think we're okay.
And I'll tag that separately. The towers are all tagged, but I'll tag that.
Yes.
This
I would do it. That's why I wanted to photograph where it was plugged in.
Gotcha.
So once that's shut down, it should be good.
Okay. Appreciate you being helpful when you're interviewing, but not like I'm from the you know this shit. So thank you for that.
You know what I know because I've spent a long time working.
Yeah. We're seasoning this.
You guys are the only ones having hands-on this.
No, absolutely. I'm all for it.
Anything,
But
cover everything. We're going to run to the next location and start what we're doing.